Was Jack the Ripper actually a doctor? You might not know this, but a while ago I did a series of videos on the history of eating disorders, and within them I discussed Dr. William Gull, who was the first man to name anorexia nervosa. Now what you might not know, and certainly what I didn't know, was that William Gull was suspected to be Jack the Ripper, London's infamous serial killer. To quickly recap, the Jack the Ripper slayings occurred between 1888 and 1891, during which about 11 women were massacred in London's East End. How does William Gull tie into this? Well, by the mid-19th century, William Gull had actually become a physician of fairly high standing, and he was also very well connected to the royal family. In 1871, he treated Queen Victoria's grandson, Prince Albert Victor, who was suffering from typhoid fever at the time. Prince Albert survived, and because of Gull's performance there, he was actually named as a physician in standing to Queen Victoria, although this was mostly an honorary title. Now, his social standing is important because as early as 1895, people started to suspect that a physician of high standing was involved in the slayings, and it was believed that someone with medical knowledge had also murdered these women. Nearly a century later, people had started to suspect that Prince Albert Victor was Jack the Ripper. It claimed that the prince had become insane from syphilis and completed these massacres. Gull was implicated in this conspiracy because, after all, he had been Albert Victor's physician at one point. Another theory was that Prince Albert had a secret, illegitimate Catholic heir, which somehow the victims knew about. The crimes were therefore an attempt to cover up this knowledge, and apparently the Freemasons were involved. And then Gall was thought to be a Freemason. So once again, it was possible that he participated. Is it actually true? Was Gall Jack the Ripper, or was he somehow involved in these massacres? There's no evidence that Gall was a Freemason. There was no evidence that there was an illegitimate heir. There's no evidence that Prince Albert Victor was in London during these slayings. And there was no evidence that he had become insane from syphilis, or that he suffered from syphilis at all. Now, to add more to Gull's defense, he was actually quite sick at the time of these massacres. In 1887, he had suffered the first in a series of strokes that rendered him quite physically debilitated. They eventually led to his demise in 1890, about a year before the last murder occurred. So while Gall was alive for most of these murders, it's unlikely that he was physically capable of undertaking them. Can you think of any more connections between medicine and crime throughout history? Let me know in the comments and follow for more medical history.